you gotta give it some time. Like you just like, you know, if you're coming into this game, if you're coming into Street Fighter, by the way, this is just some advice for you. If you're coming into Street Fighter and you're like learning the game, you're coming into fighting games, like, and you're really doing your due diligence, you're trying to study up and be like, oh, what characters are great. Like, tier lists are okay to look at, but they're not gospel. CEO 2023, like I said, Street Fighter 6, you know, the pool experience, like I said, definitely much more variety of characters, but one, yeah, that kind of made its rounds. Even cats like, you know, Brian F posted up about it, like, oh, you guys are saying JP is so busted, but you're like, look, he didn't even make top 24. I'm like, bro, there were a lot of JPs that were like on the cusp of top 24. They just did not make it. Like, we had multiple JP mirrors before we got to that top 24. They were weeding themselves out before then. There was at least, I want to say 3 to 4 matches. I want to say at least 3 matches that we saw JPs being played on like, you know, you got to see on stage on the projection screen and such. And like, yeah, that character is, just give it a little bit of time. It's still a weirdo character, because I don't think, you know, let's put it out there. If Brian F was in a tournament, I'm pretty sure Brian F probably would have cracked top 24. He would have been one of the entries to bring JP in there, right? But there was a lot of them, like I said, a lot of Manons that made it out, or made it to through pools or around pools. Other characters, like I didn't see any Lilies like that. I think I saw maybe one person try to pick Lily. It didn't work out too well. Camis were solid. Obviously, we got 3 in top 24.
Kimberly's were there, Shine and
yeah, shout outs to Shine. He was one of the 2 Kimberlys that made it. I think it was Shine and I think it wasn't a mirror match. I'm just trying. I can't remember.
Zach Rob, is it?
Maybe Zach Rob sounds like he played something else. Was he the Jamie? I'm not 100% sure. But Kim was another one that got to luckily see in top 24. But I mean, other characters. Let me see. Like Lily. Like no Geeps made it. Like I really, honestly, I didn't see any Geeps like that. I saw maybe 1 or 2 actually. But it was kind of a rarity.
I don't remember who it was against. Maybe I think it was against Mena, and there was a modern Geef that he was playing. Yes. Actually, shout outs to Valentine in our Twitch chat. Actually, yeah, there actually was a modern control Geef. Yeah. In that made it to stage, did very well until Mena stopped that shit, I believe. But it was dangerous. It was very, very dangerous. We got to see some of the hints, the little touches of power that is modern controls at a high level. But you know, unfortunately, fell short. But it might also just, you know, it's just the way it works right now. Doesn't mean it's always going to be like that, but there definitely was some. Yeah, where Jaewon played modern Geef, but I don't know if Jaewon played modern Geef in bracket. I know he plays it on his stream and such, because he's a very, very powerful character in the modern sense anyway. But like besides that, like pool play was awesome. It was just so much energy, so many people just playing. It was overall a great time when it came to Street Fighter 6. So it was a great start off to the game. Character variety is going to happen. You know, there were other characters that, you know, we didn't see a whole lot of. Like, yes, we got a couple Blankas. I can only think of 2. It was just Mena and Coach. I'm pretty sure there was more than that. But in terms of high, the one I lost to, yeah.
Wait, you lost a Blanka?
I lost to Blanka. You weren't there.
Oh yeah, I was not there. Because if I was there, I would have been
still
mad.
Lost.
Oh, he did once in bracket. Okay.
Krux6. Kruxis.
Is that the Geef?
That was the Blanka that beat me.
Oh, that was the Blanka.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Hey, do you want to tell the people how you got knocked out of pools?
In Street Fighter? Sure.
You don't have to.
I fought a Marissa, and then I...
Oh, Marissa, that's another character. Not a lot made it out of top 24, funny enough.
It was 1-1. I was up a match. I was up a round, and I went to head stomp. He did super. He missed, and I went to punish. Thing is, I didn't know she goes half screen away, and I dashed up and swept, and he blocked, and he punished. I was tilted. I lost the next round. And there goes my Street Fighter.
Static was tilted. I was tilted. I almost ended up being a second video on Twitter about starting a fight. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, it was pretty wild. But yeah, Marissa, that's another character. Funny enough, I thought I was gonna see more, maybe make it into top 24, but it's not the character might not be developed enough there yet.
Right. I think K to Z placed pretty well. Let me see.
I saw KDZ play on stream. Yeah, he was a Marissa player. I think he was on stream. He was on stage a couple times. I forget who he got knocked out
Eric
to.
C and Idom.
Idom, yes, there we go. Yep, it was Idom. It was that was off stream, I believe. Actually, no, was that off stream? It might have been.
I don't know.
It was a whole lot, man. It was the weekend was a whole lot of watching, a lot of matches to watch, not just in Street Fighter 6, of course, in other games too. But I mean, overall, like for Street Fighter 6, it was quite the experience. Like I said, for it being the first major, it was awesome. Like a lot of tech to still be developed, a lot of characters to still show play. But you know, we got to see Mena RD two-timer for real, Capcom Cup champion, come through and win the first Street Fighter 6 event with Blanka. Okay, with an asterisk. I know he used Luke. He definitely used Luke throughout the tournament as well, throughout bracket play. But he also was using Blanka throughout bracket play, so it's not like a one-off that he only did it in top 8. Right. But he did. He actually went ahead and through his top 8. He had one. I think. Did he have one Luke? Did he use Luke once? Yeah, he used Luke once.
He used Luke against Punk.
Against Punk, yes. He used Luke against Punk.
An item. He only used Blanka in the grand finals.
Yes, correct. Yeah, because I keep forgetting it was nephew in grand finals against Mena. But So, but the majority of his top 8 run was with Blanka, and Blanka is a scary ass fucking character. Blanka was not in the bingo card for a lot of people in terms of doing anything. To be honest, like wasn't even in the goddamn discussion. But you know, it's so early in the game. That's why like things like these tier lists and shit, like early on, like I really like, yes, there are definitely some characters that you can tell are strong, but you gotta give it some time. Like you just like, you know, if you're coming into this game, if you're coming into Street Fighter, by the way, this is just some advice for you. If you're coming into Street Fighter and you're like learning the game, you're coming into fighting games, like, and you're really doing your due diligence, you're trying to study up and be like, oh, what characters are great. Like tier lists are okay to look at, but they're not gospel. Like it is not gospel. It's not what's written in stone. It's not what it'll always be, because you know, you can look at the character usage in that tier maker we showed earlier, or what everyone always deems to be that's S tiers to the fucking D tiers. Blanka was not even in the discussion outside of cats like Marn, because shout outs to Marn, because Marn actually did post the tier list a long time when the game did drop and put Blanka as like second best right after Juri. So yeah. Marn was technically right, but like it's for me it's so annoying when I see these tier lists. I'm like, bro, it's so early. Like there's no data to support not enough data in a high competitive sense. Like online, like what is whatever. Online's a different fucking beast. But like, you know, you gotta let the game rock a bit. It's only been 3 weeks exactly. So it's like it's kind of annoying a bit, but I like it at the same time, because when we get these kinds of upsets, we're like, yo, Blanka fucking won the tournament. Blanka won a tournament. Like it's kind of wild to think about that.
I'm looking at his win-loss record. On his way up, he only lost one match to Corey Bell. I believe that was another Luke.
Corey Bell is a Luke, yeah.
Yeah. And then Punk, and then everything else was 3-0 or 2-0. Like Idom, as we saw, was 3-0, and then he lost a match to Punk and lost one match to Nephew. Gotcha. That was it. I don't know, Jay Caesar, it doesn't look like they had an actual score noted there, but that was winner's final of the pool. But yeah, quite dominant.
Yeah, dude came out swinging. He was chill. My man was relaxed the entire way, kept his wit about him. Yo, shout outs to Mena though, like, you know, just repping the Caribbean, repping DR, which is awesome. I love to see it. But yo, those top 8 was no slouch. Like all the matches were hype. Kaba versus Punk, I think, was probably like the wildest one for me.
Yeah, and something that I did notice, like the meta of the whole like corner game and the drive gauge game. Like even Yipe said it. Like he saw that somebody was hitting him in the corner and said it out loud. He said, "All right, this is the future of the game, y'all." And it's like, yeah, the future of the game is a fierce button, like spam your fierce buttons to push down that drive gauge, and then a cancelable button into drive impact that'll stun your opponent. Like try to make some sort of like, yeah, you're like not even that. It's like burnout stun. Like
yeah, you're fighting almost like 2 life gauges, right? Like that's what I was noticing too. Like your level 3s, you save that to cash out, right? You got your cash out combo to just everything. You're using it all. You're DRing everything. You're DR canceling everything to as many buttons as you can to level 3, so you can just get the max amount of damage. And like you said, like stun combos and such, absolutely. Like more like planned stun combos. It isn't like oh, you happen to be in burnout. Like, sometimes you can't 100% get it calculated, but when you're in burnout and you're in the corner, the likelihood that they're going to try to drive impact you, it's pretty fucking high. It's pretty high because it's such a great return for it at little to no risk, really, outside of like, do you have super? Oh, you do have super? It's like, okay, whether or not you can react to this is another situation. But yeah, we were seeing a lot of calculated stuns where, like you said, they are doing a string, and like the second to last hit will cause the burnout to then link into DI, because remember, in DI, you can go into DI from anything that is a special cancelable normal. All right, so you treat it the same way like you do with special moves, with fireballs, with cannon spikes, with fuhas, whatever. It all goes of the same principles. We were seeing a lot of that where you were, you're doing the space game, the neutral game, but then if you're pushing, you're taking that spacing, you're looking at their drive gauge just as much as you're looking at their health bar. And as soon as you see it when it's at a certain range, and you have a series where like, oh, this hit string into this always takes, I don't know, a bar and a half, and they're just at a bar, is like, you go for it, because by the time you get to the end of that, you can link DI and get a guaranteed almost checkmate. Like outside of super, or potentially grab, but most of the time these strings are trying to do it in a string that once you're in burnout, right, you got those +4 frames. You're trying to keep it as tight as possible to guarantee you that's done. And you are right. We were definitely seeing that. Seeing that live. It was happening in more than one match. So it's definitely the direction, the meta, or the scene is kind of seeing as to like how they're going to play to the strengths of the game itself and the mechanics that we have. But that's for now, until we find maybe an OS select, right, like an option select, to going against it, or just general defense tips for it as we grow and learn about it. That's kind of like the direction we're going, and it's very potent, and it works out very, very well. But yeah, that top 8, if you really just want to like the homie Yep said, we don't want to really see the future as to the direction of things, like I would study that shit, because it's worked out for those players for a certain reason, and it ain't luck.